Hi, and welcome to the Rags to Riches show with myself, Terry Blackburn. Now, today's guest is a guy called Jessen James. I got talking to Jessen online. Really good guy, very knowledgeable businessman. He's a serial entrepreneur. He owns multiple businesses. He's built and sold multiple businesses. He's a business mentor. He does a lot of public speaking. He's won awards for that as well. He's an author, and he's also appeared on Rich House, Poor House as one of the very genuine rich, quote unquote, rich people who actually gave something to the other families, which I love. So thank you so much for coming on, Jessen, and welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Terry. Thank you for having me, and thank you for that beautiful intro as well. I appreciate it.
No problems, man. No problems. It was nice when I was researching someone just to find nothing but positive, great content. Really, so it was really nice. We just had a really nice chat before press record there as well.
Yeah.
Sound like, he might take a person. He does really well, but he also gives back, which is what I really like. So fair play. So thank you, Jessen. So what we like to do on the show is just talk about the three sort of stages of your career so far.
Yeah.
This one is just how you got into becoming an entrepreneur. It's not mainly around property, this episode, like a lot of the previous ones, around business and generally being an entrepreneur. So just first of all, how it started. Second of all, would just be the growth section. So that is any key highlights of your career, any key lessons that you want to share, and any main sort of highlights of that growth part of your career. And then just the last part is just what your attention is on right now. What you're looking at going forward and things like that. So could you start by just telling us how you first became an entrepreneur?
Yeah, and like obviously for the purposes of the show, I'll keep this as short as I can. Being a speaker, when someone tells me to speak, I'm like, how long have I got? But yeah, in terms of entrepreneurship, I guess I'm the only entrepreneur in my family. I was always fascinated by entrepreneurship growing up as a kid. I started my first business when I was 11 years old. I smuggled some fireworks into the country from Mauritius on our first family holiday. I smuggled them in my mum's suitcase, and then I got them out and I sold them in school, going well until someone decided to throw them off the top of a double-decker bus in their school uniform, got grassed up by one of the public, and then obviously they told them who their dealer was, and that was the end of that business. That got shut down. Then I started doing tuck shop.
You're the first fireworks dealer I've had on the show.
I feel privileged. 11-year-old fireworks dealer as well. But yeah, and then I started doing tuck shop stuff because I noticed that the tuck shop used to sell in schools. I don't know if your listeners can remember, but we used to sell like sweets and stuff out of the literally in our playground. They took a whole window out of one of the classrooms and were selling out the window. So then I started bringing in drinks, crisps, chocolates, and selling them out of my bag. That got shut down because I got caught. Wasn't supposed to be doing that as well. I'm not a good advocate for business at the moment. I have 2 businesses shut down already. And then at 15 years old, I walked into, I don't know if some of your listeners can remember, but when Nokia first came out with these interchangeable faces and the aerials and all this kind of stuff, and loads of mobile phones were getting trendy, and they had all these accessories and funky stuff. So I walked into a mobile phone shop, one of these independent phone shops, and I blagged the owner to give me literally a bin liner full of accessories, and I said, look, I'll sell them to everybody at school, I'll bring the money back, and we'll split the money. And I blagged my way into that. It was my first no money down deal. got those, sold them to her, and brought the money back. And I can't remember how much. I think it was like a tenner. He gave me a tenner. I was like, I just sold you freaking like 500 quid worth of freaking accessories. Give me a tenner. But later on in life, I got the lesson that he or she who brings the most value to an equation gets paid the most. It was his shop, it was his stock, he put up the risk. Let's be fair, But anyway, cut long story short, I then did the traditional route, education, went to university. People might not know this, but I qualified as a psychiatric nurse at university. So I'm actually a psychiatric nurse, that's my background. And before going into nursing, I thought, you know what, I love entrepreneurship. I'm going to give this business like another go. And I did. I launched a company. I actually launched a business, 24 years old, just out of university. And I lost 65 grand in 3 months. And it hurt really badly. But the reason it hurt is because I launched into an industry I knew nothing about. I opened a tile and bathroom warehouse. What the hell was a nurse doing opening one of those? It makes no bloody sense, right? So if anyone's listening, lesson number 1 in business, use what you already know. What do you already know? What are you already good at? And I didn't do that. And that was a big error for me. So that's how I kind of first got into business, but went into employment off the back of that as a nurse because I got burnt. So I thought, well, let's just go back into work. Climbed the ranks really, really quickly in private healthcare because I worked for private sector. Became the youngest ward manager in the UK at 27 years old. But a ward manager in the UK, you get...
What is a ward manager? Sorry, I don't really
know. A ward manager is someone who manages a whole ward, which means you've got to manage the staff, the team, the patients, the operations of that department, the P&Ls, the whole lot, because it was run as a business. So as a ward manager in the private sector, not only do you need to look after patients, look after your staff, you need to procure business. So I was given sales targets. I was like, what nurse gets bloody sales targets? This is mad, right? But
really the nurse that you think.
Exactly. So, but my job was to go out to the NHS and sell beds. And, so bums on beds is what they called it. Made my employer £6.5 million in 2 years in sales. And that just my department. And then tail end of the last recession, July 2009, they told me that they don't need me anymore. And my job was just taken away like that. And I don't know if anyone listening can sort of align with feeling betrayed, let down, stabbed in the back after giving your all to someone or something. But there's a lesson in that, right? There's a lesson in that. And the lesson was, that wasn't my path. And nothing in life is secure unless you secure it yourself. You got to take responsibility. Like there's a lot of people right now, Terry, like blaming employers for cutting their jobs or letting them loose or whatever it might be. But look, you gave your boss permission to fire you the minute you signed an employment contract. It's not set in stone, right? Do you know what I mean? So I left, decided to go and use what I already knew, which was healthcare. Launched my own healthcare company, which was, we were talking before the show, which is when I stumbled upon a rent-to-rent strategy that I didn't even know I was bloody doing. But yeah, I created a service-based, community-based service, which was supported living for adults with learning difficulties, mental illness. And to cut a long story short, mate, I grew that company really, really quickly, doubled the size of it in the first 12 months. It wasn't easy. This is the short version. It wasn't easy. There was lots of stress with that. Quadrupled the income in the business in the first 2 years, but I had a problem, mate, which I'm pretty sure some of your listeners can align with, and that was I was the business. I didn't have a business. I had a job with a shit boss who didn't give me enough time off. But I had money. Yeah, it was good money, nice house, nice car and stuff, but everything was me. Like if I got sick, mate, for the next, I don't know, if I got hospitalized for 6 months, the whole thing would have fallen apart. And that's what I'm trying to say to people who get into business is please, and I'm going to say this with the utmost respect, you don't have the right to call yourself a business owner if you still operate it. You can't, you don't own it then. The business owns you. You got to understand it. And I say that with love to wake people up, because you can only own a business if you can walk away right now and it's still running with you, like without you. I'm very grateful and blessed. I've got businesses. I've got a perfume brand. I've got a perfume physical shop and online stuff. I'm not there. It's in Westfield in West London. I'm not there. It's making money. Now I can say I'm a business owner. But if I'm on the floor, sweating it out, managing the team, managing the staff, ordering stock, doing this, I don't own a business. I've got a job. And it's the same as my training company. I'm here with you on this podcast right now. My team are running the show. I'm owning things. So what I had to do essentially in my care business was take everything that's in my head and put it into processes and systems, hire better people to run those processes and systems for me. And to cut a long story short, that business made me financially free at the age of 31 and a millionaire 2 years later, which isn't bad for a nurse who got fired. Do you see what I mean?
Can I just ask a few questions on that before we jump ahead? It's a great story. I think definitely lessons in there. The first one is, and I do agree with you, you said some people might be able to relate to that, feeling betrayed. You obviously built that business up, made them £6.5 million in 2 years, and probably got the contacts, the contracts and the connections that you set up for that business and said, you know what, Jessen, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Do you think that ignited a fire within you? Do you think that still stays with you today? And also any advice for anybody else feeling that way right now?
100%. I think for me, the biggest takeaway from that is to look what's the blessing in those situations, because our brains, are wired to go towards the bad, right? There's such a thing called negativity bias. Negativity bias is basically we're predisposed to go towards negativity, like all day long. Like they've done studies on this. A 10-week-old baby will stare longer at an angry face than someone who's smiling at them. 10 weeks old, because we've got this biochemical makeup in our body that makes us go towards negativity, and it stems from back in the caveman era when we're programmed for survival. So our brains are naturally predisposed to keeping us safe, which basically means
that's why the news is just full of
it's full of shit, isn't it?
More than the good stuff. Yeah, you
but this is it. It's like mass propaganda, like, you know, keep everyone negative. It's crazy. But, you know, so for me, the biggest takeaway from that was, you know, what's the good in it? Like, you know, I always joke about this when I tell my stories to people, and I say, look, don't get me wrong. At the time my boss fired me, I was sitting in the car park waiting for her to come out so I could run her ass over. Obviously I didn't, but the point is that I was hurt, man. I was like, but then one of my mentors told me once, whenever you point one finger at someone, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. And I could point my finger at her all day long, but what's the lesson in that? Take responsibility for your own future. Why did I put my future in someone else's hand, someone else's contract, whatever it might be? You know, so anyone right now is going through betrayal, letdown. The marketplace is, you know, is massively affected their business model. You know, I speak to a lot of landlords who go, "Oh, my tenant trashed my property." Well, who let them in it? Who let them in it? Make your due diligence process a bit more robust. Like it's like same like I had people when I work with business owners. Oh, I employed a member of staff and they're not doing their job. Who recruited them? And it all revolves around business owners who go to me. Oh, I tried to offer my products to someone and they didn't buy them. It's their fault. They've got no money. Why on earth were you talking to them in the first place for? All my life revolves around now is cause, not effect. What's the cause? Like, not the effect. The effect is I lost my job. Great. If I keep on focusing on that, I'm going to blame. What's the cause? The cause was I gave someone permission to fire me. How do I stop that from happening again? So if people get onto this side of, okay, things are going to happen, bad things, adversity, challenges, problems, we're all going through them. We're all human beings. But if we can get into the process of going, right, how did I create this? And how can I stop it from happening again? You start focusing on the blame. There's people out there right now blaming Boris Johnson all day long. But look, Boris doesn't even know what he's bloody doing half the time. He wakes up in the morning, combs his hair with a freaking balloon, and then gets to work. Like, how on earth? Like, seriously, like, why are you putting your hopes on him? Stop pointing fingers at him. Create your own economy. Stop asking Rishi Sunak for handouts. I'm not being mean here. I know people are struggling with money, struggling with bills. I get that. But why put yourself in a situation where you have to struggle in the first place? They've said this before. If you were born broke, it's not your fault. If you die broke, that's a freaking choice. Everyone's got an option. Do you know what I mean? So stop pointing fingers. So if anyone's going through bad times right now, what's the lesson in it? What's good about it? What have you learned from it? How can you avoid it happening again? There's always a blessing. So for me, even when I lose, I'm winning. Because I've learned something. Do you see what I mean? So if people get into that mindset, then yeah, they'll process things better.
Love that. I agree with everything you said. There's plenty of gems in there. There really is. And I think if you drill all of that down, it comes down to a mindset, right? It's how you look at a particular situation. Mm-hmm. And it's not a coincidence that a lot of people who are high achievers look at these type situations in a similar light to what you just said there. They're looking for the solution, not the problem. They're looking at the positive, the blessing and the lesson. And they're just looking at the wrong thing. The people who aren't high achievers are looking at the wrong thing, right? And we all be a little bit guilty of sometimes slipping into that, but being disciplined enough to just, you know what, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Let's
awareness. It's awareness. As long as you're aware of it, then you can catch. I still do it. I'm like, why did they do that? Okay, Jessen. Okay, what's the cause? Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, when you're aware of something, you can manage it. I'm not perfect. I still have my moments, but because I'm aware of it, I don't stay in that state for very, very long.
Love that. Being self-aware is a really important attribute for sure. One other thing I liked what you said, and we've said it on this show before, and I think it's just important to go back through it, is you said something along the lines of, your boss was demanding, he was hard working, you worked loads of hours because you were your own boss, right? And I completely agree. And I banged this drum quite a bit. Is people say I'm a business owner. The worst when they say I'm a CEO on LinkedIn, and you're like, you're not a CEO, right? Just you. But you legit, I agree. The harsh truth is you do not have a business if you have to be there. If you can't take 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months off work, and it doesn't, if it crumbles, if you're not there, that's you're right. The harsh truth is it's not a business, right? So what's your advice on, because you're a business mentor, I'm sure you got advice on this. What's your advice on if someone has just listened to that and they thought, you know what, if I was off work for 6 months, it would crumble or it wouldn't run as well. What's the first thing that they need to do in regards to processes and systems? How do they start doing that? What would you say to that?
Before they even get into the processes and systems and the mechanics of it, you've got to have the psychology to deploy all of this stuff. Because at the end of the day, every business owner who's embarking on this tipping point of, getting other people to do stuff for them, systemizing their business, recruiting different people, all that kind of stuff, you've got to let go. You've got to learn to let go. Like, I get it, it's your baby, it's your business, but you've also got to have the right mindset for this, because at the end of the day, stop trying to find people who are like you. You're not going to find anyone in your team who's going to do your business, do what you do exactly like you. If you can find someone who could do it 80% as well, give them 20% to be themselves. Yeah, because you've got to lower the bar on this, but you can't scale. You literally cannot scale, so have the right mindset in the first place, learn to let go, accept it. Okay. The second thing is, what's your vision? Forget the systems, forget the processes. Like, I personally, I'm very grateful because I've got a lot of my circle of influence now, very, very high flyers, successful multimillionaires, friends, business partners, colleagues. And there's one attribute that we all have. We're super clear on where we're heading, and the how we don't worry about. This is my whole point. Like, if you're super clear on where you're heading, the how you don't worry about, because success doesn't happen in a linear fashion. It doesn't happen when all your ducks are lined up. It doesn't work like that. What's your vision? Where do you want to go? And a lot of business owners aren't super duper clear. So when I say vision, there's 3 areas of your life that you need to create your vision in. Your personal life. What do you want your personal life to look like? Your professional life. What do you want your business to look like? And your financial life. What do you want your money to be doing for you? Do you see what I mean? So, like, if you can create the vision in that, now we can get to work. Because you've got something to work towards. Why? Because you are going to have those tough days. You are going to have those failures. You are going to have those setbacks. You are going to have teething problems when you're scaling and you start to build a system that doesn't bloody work, and now you've got to rebuild it. You are going to recruit new people and they're going to mess up and you're going to have to replace them. But all of that's worth it. Why? Because you know where you're heading. And if you don't know where you're heading, you give up. So have a vision. Obviously, have the right mindset. Have a clear vision. And then we can start to get to work on the areas of your business that you need to improve on. Like, we've all got, we've all got warning signs. You should traffic light your business and go to it like, hey, look, what's the red, amber, green sort of situation here? Like, what area of my business right now is a red? Most business owners, sales. Most of them, cash flow. So build a system for that first. Like, if you're the only one responsible for selling in your business, you're screwed. Because if you can't sell, there's no income generating activity going on. What about when you're delivering what you've sold? Income generation stops. So that's that for me. First area of your business, systemize sales. Get that working for you, because that's the bloodline of your business. People talk about cash is king. Absolutely right. Yes, cash is king. However, cash might be king, but sales is queen. No sales, no cash. No cash, no business. So when people go, I've got a cash flow problem. Yeah, no shit. Of course, you've got a cash flow problem. Well, it's not the cash that's the problem. It's linked to sales activity or lack of. So if you can fix the sales flow, quality leads, conversions, then the cash sorts itself out. Do you know what I mean? So sort your sales process out is what I often say to people. So there's so much more. I teach on this, so there's so much more I can talk about it. But to get someone started is get the right mindset, learn to let go. You can't think of Richard Branson. He sits on his freaking island all day and doesn't worry about the 150 odd brands that he owns. Why? Because he has the mindset to let go and actually let other people and hire quality people. Some people, by the way, who are better than him, run his business. And that's why you've got to have the mindset. I have people in my team right now who are way better than me, way better than me. I'm cool with that. My self-worth is good. I love myself. I'm cool, right? And I have to have an ego around this. So you've got to work on yourself. Be willing to actually let go. Be willing to have better people around you. Be willing to not know everything. It's absolutely fine. I don't employ people to do jobs for me. I employ them to actually do things that I don't know. And I'm cool with that. Do you see what I mean? So have that mindset, have that vision, and then get to work.
Love that. As you were talking there, a lot of it comes down to something I heard someone say recently, is just removing the ego, right? Like you said, some people will not, if they're interviewing somebody and this person seems better than them at sales, they'll feel threatened. Oh my God, I can't have this person in here. What happens if he takes over? What happens if he leaves us and all that, honestly, it's great to hear someone talking like this, because I don't think there's that many people that talk around business like this. And some who aren't doing what they talk about. And I know you're doing both. You're doing it and you're talking about, which is great to hear. I was going to ask two things on what you said there. Me personally, for the businesses that I run, there's quite a few different companies. The hardest part for me is the staff. It is recruiting it's recruiting. And don't get us wrong, I've got some fantastic people in across my businesses. There's over 100 employees, helping people involved. And I've got some unreal people in there. But it's still, in order to scale, you've got to keep recruiting. I truly believe that. It's never ending recruitment for me. What advice would you give on recruitment, on finding the best people? That's the first question. I'll let you answer that one first before I give you the second.
A tip, actually. I think we spend so much time trying to work out who our ideal client is. We create client avatars, and then we go off and advertise to them and market to them, all that kind of stuff. But we don't spend enough time creating team avatars. So if you look at the core roles in your business, from your CEOs to your ops directors, to your managing directors, to your accountants, to your whoever you got in your team, go and create avatars for these people, not just, the demographics, not just like what age are they and what qualifications have they got, but what are the characteristics? What are the traits? What's the attitude? What are you looking for, right? Now, obviously there's that saying, hire attitude, train skill. Now there's some jobs that, like, obviously if you're hiring for a web coder, you can't train them on that. So you might have to lower the bar a little bit, but the point is, like, what's the attitude that you want people to have? And remember who's doing the hiring here, okay? Hire out of inspiration, not desperation. I used to make this mistake all day long. Like you said, I'm constantly on the churn, looking for staff, looking for teams, I used to hire out of desperation. Like, I'm short staff, I need staff. Right? So what happens then? When you're in a desperate state, you lower your standards.
True.
So I lowered my standards, and then I paid for it later on. So it's being super duper clear on what kind of people you want to have in your team. Now, I'm very grateful and blessed because now, after building up my care business and making loads of mistakes and doing all that kind of stuff, and even down to I had salon businesses and stuff and things like that. Like everything revolved. The biggest lesson for me: culture and attitude. What kind of culture am I creating? What kind of attitude are the kind of people that I've got here? So for me, the culture is really, really important. It's really, really important. You want to have a culture where people feel like they belong, and it's not a job. It's our business, and people want to belong. They just want to belong. It's what human beings want to do. They want to belong. And if you can work on actually attracting people who want to belong, not people who just want a job, people who are actually, looking for a career, there's a difference. The job's a job. Get paid, go home, done, finished, whatever, on to the next job. A career, it develops. So as an employer, what's the career pathway you're creating within your organization? So on our team away days, I'm like, right, these are the new sites we're opening. This is the new programs we're launching. This is the new services that we're doing. This is blah, blah, blah. Where do you guys fit in? Where do you see you? Where do you see? Now I'm showing them that your role right now can evolve, develop, or get promoted. Like, you can grow with us. I'm showing them ways that they can actually earn commissions on certain things that we're offering and stuff. So they now feel like they're part of it. So culture, that comes with culture, but you've got to bring in people who want to buy into that culture. I'm very clear with people when we recruit them, like, you know, I don't do much of the recruiting now. My COO takes care of that, but like, I always say, talk to people, ask them, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? What do you want to do? Be honest with me, is this a job for you? Have you got other plans? Do you want to go somewhere else? What do you want to do? And if people tell us this is a stepping stone, we usually don't take them on. And the reason is because I'm looking for longevity. I don't want to go through this process again and have to replace you later on. I want you to grow with us. So just having open, honest conversations. And look, the thing is, Terry, like, it's hard though, especially when you need people. It's like, I can't really afford to be that picky.
Thought about business for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but feed into the culture and attitude. Just have good quality people. I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed that I've got good people around me. Like I sometimes pinch myself. Like literally, I know I can just lay anything on them and they'll bend over backwards and get things done. I can tell them tomorrow, like, look, you know what, guys, I need some time out. I did literally before, like 4 or 5 weeks ago. I said I need some time out. I just left and I went to Cyprus for a week. Just left, and they would like they said, good, go, we don't want you here, like you need to go and reach out. Like honestly, it's like in a nice way. in a nice way, but like, do you know what I mean? It's like, but
that's a proper business though, right? If your staff are absolutely fine with that and they're not panicking and they're not worried and they don't even know, well, what about this and what about that? No, you just go.
They were good, you know, and they care about me, and that's they care, and when I say they care about me, they care to the point where this is their business. So any decisions they make, they're making it as if it was their own. So I guess what I'm trying to say is one of the cultures as a business owner that you need to create is create entrepreneurs in your business, people who are entrepreneurial inside your organization, because then they think like you. You know, you don't have to have these conversations about, you know, why you need to save money, why you need to not waste, like leave the freaking lights on all the time, this and that, because it's, you know, it affects the P&Ls, you know, all this kind of stuff. So they're thinking about this rather than wasting, you know, not doing silly things like taking time out for no reason, or, you know, going on jollies disguised as freaking staff training days, you know, and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't want employee mindset here. You can't grow a business with an employee mindset. So if you can teach your business, one last thing on this, business owners are scared to teach their staff to be more entrepreneurial because they're scared their staff will go off and run their own business. I'm telling you now, it's scary out there. Not everyone wants to go and launch their own company. They've got this whole myth saying that, oh, only 5% of the population want to be entrepreneurs. Bollocks. I can ask anyone in the street right now, if I gave you your own business, your own boss, working your own hours, getting paid as much as you want, would you be in? I bet you 95% of the population want to be entrepreneurs. Only 5% freaking do it. That's the difference. You know what I mean? So not everyone wants to do it, man. Not everyone wants to do it.
Yeah, again, I think that's another really good point. Because they don't. You might think, I think the problem is, as the business owner, just because you think like that, and you think if anyone gives me a chance like that, I'll definitely do it because you're already doing it, but you then think they're going to think the same. I've got like my main business, life insurance and mortgages, they're all self-employed, right? So there's quite a lot of them. They're all basically with their own business within my business. They find their own leads, they're very good at sales, they get paid a commission for every deal that they do.
Yeah.
I would think that a lot of them would want to set up their own business, and I've actually sat them down in a big team meeting and said, like, who would like to progress in doing this? These are the pros, these are the cons. There's obviously a lot of cons, but there's a lot of pros too. Yeah. And I thought in my own head, right, at least I was thinking like 70%. It was literally about 20% said I want to do this, but then loads of them completely surprised me and said, I don't want the hassle. I'm happy doing what I'm doing now. I'm content. I'm earning good money. I'm enjoying life. I don't want all the extra responsibility. And I was shocked by the take up. But you're completely right. Everybody, they might want to, but then when they see what they actually have to do, it's not all rosy. Like they see on Instagram, there's a lot of shit that comes with it, right?
This is it. So don't assume everyone wants to go and do that. It's not the truth.
You're so right. So right. Just one last one on that section. You mentioned about sales, and a lot of businesses struggle on that aspect. What's your advice for recruiting good salespeople?
Again, culture and vision. But it's also
for you. Sorry to jump in there. For you, Jessen, is it all about it's just about the person because the skills are learnable. Is that kind of
with sales, obviously you want to make sure you've got someone who is the right skill match. You know, obviously there's something in business called skill mapping, you know, making sure you're putting the right person in the right position in your organization. Like, you're not going to put a timid, shy person in sales because they're going to shit themselves. Like, there's no point, right? So it's the wrong skill map. You put them back of office instead. So you want to find someone who's got that, you know, that is character. For me, it's character. Like, not everyone can sell. Like, we were talking about Grant Cardone earlier and all this kind of stuff, right? You know, like, that guy's louder than anything, right? You know, and if anything, it's his confidence that sells. You know, so you could be the best salesperson in the world, but if you've got no confidence, then you're not going to sell what you're doing. So in terms of, if I was recruiting salespeople right now, what I'm looking for is are there people right now who are certain in their ability, if I gave them a good lead and a good product, to sell it? How certain are they? Because we can train them, give them scripts, we can do all that kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. Are they certain? Have they got charisma? They've got character? Because at the end of the day, as long as you've got those things, then you can go and sell. But like, if you don't have the character, then you're not going to get far in life. Like, business is about energy. It's about having the personality. It's about having the right, talking to people, communicating to people. Like, there's people out there that I don't even know how they're in business anymore, right? You know, so like, I remember, like, I did a talk just before lockdown to 200 estate agents. I got asked by someone to come up and do a talk in London. 200 estate agents in the room. It's probably upset some of your followers if they're estate agents, but I apologize in advance. But I was being honest. I was on stage 20 minutes into my presentation. There's no energy. They're not responding. I stopped the whole presentation. I went, okay, raise your hand if you're in sales. All of their hands went up, clearly, because they're estate agents. And now, with all due respect, you can't be in sales if you've got the personality of a fucking doorknob, right? And like, the room went dead silent. The promoters at the back of the room going, no, what did you say? But you know what happened, Terry, after that? Not all of them, but a massive amount of the room came up to me after the talk and said, thank you for talking to us like that, because you woke us up. And that's my whole point. Like, you want someone to give you money, but you can't even be nice. You can't even be courteous. You can't even be personable. You can't even talk to them and understand them and be kind and, you know, just have a conversation with people, help them to buy. I always say to people, don't sell to people, help someone to buy, because they're going to buy anyway. So sales for me is an educational process to help someone make an informed choice. That's all it is. So when you sell to someone and push them, they don't like doing it. So for me, you know, charisma, character, these things are really, really important. And then you can drop them into your role, your salesperson. Because think about it, they're like on the front line of your business. Yeah. So they're on the front line of your business. They've also got to buy into your cultures and values, because otherwise there'd be a disconnect. So this is why the whole team needs to be aligned. Otherwise, the salesperson can be really good and really aligned and really charismatic, and then you pass them to a boring back office person, you've screwed the whole thing, the whole experience, right? So if you're recruiting for salespeople, make sure you're recruiting people who've got care, compassion as well, not someone who just wants to make money. Money's great. Of course, they all want to make money. But then again, because of money, there's two things that make people act crazy: money and love. These two things make people act in really crazy ways. And sometimes salespeople can do some crazy stuff just to hit their targets. And that's great for you as the business owner. But if the client gets screwed in the process, that's not cool on the long term.
Yeah. Morals over money. Yeah, man.
100%.
Okay, cool. No, thanks for that. I think that's some good advice for the listeners. So thanks for sharing.
All right.
So just going back, so give us two key highlights in your career, something that you're really, really proud of in any one of your businesses. I think that'd be good, and maybe something that there's a lesson within it would be great.
Yeah. So I guess one of my proudest moments when I started my care business actually was, I don't know if, well, I won't go into the ins and outs of it, but when you're registering a care service, it needs to be commissioned and approved by local authority and certain standards, care quality commission, all this kind of stuff that needs to go through that. So I remember setting up my first service and social services turning up, not the commissioner, just the social worker. She turned up to have a look at the kind of rooms that I've got and stuff, and whether they would think. And Terry, she laughed at me. She looked at the place and went, "This is too small. Nah, we'd never register this. But you might as well give up now." So that's what she said to me. Mate, I felt like I got smacked in the stomach. I felt like winded, like, I poured blood, sweat, and tears into this, and they're telling me like, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, she's not the commissioner, is she? So I still pushed through with the application. The day of my assessment, because they come down to this, they sit you down, they look for your policies and procedures, they talk to you, blah, blah, blah. They turned around, it's at 5 p.m, mate, 5 p.m. I think they were just hell-bent on not registering me. 5 p.m, they said to me, well, to be honest, unless you have this policy, this policy, this policy in place, and a member of staff for us to interview by 9 a.m. tomorrow, we're not going to register you. It's fucking 5 o'clock, man. Like, when am I going to find a member of staff? And I thought, there's always a way. There's always a way. I haven't come this far to get knocked back. And my care business was in London. I'd moved to Kent. I live in Kent now. So I remember driving home to Kent, thinking, right, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I thought, well, if I stayed up all night, I could actually type these policies up. So I thought, sod it, I'm going to stay up all night. I'm going to pull on all night. I'm going to do it. Okay. But then I still have a member of staff that I need to find for them to interview. Now, again, got resourceful. I hadn't opened the service yet, so I didn't have any staff. I had people I'd interviewed and stuff and whatever, but I hadn't given them a job because, so I remember ringing one of the guys who I'd interviewed, and I said to him, Leandro was his name. I said, Leandro, do me a favor, please, buddy. I know I haven't recruited you yet, but I might not even have a job to give you if I don't do this. Would you be available to meet me at the home 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? I know it's short notice. I know it's the night time now. And because the social doesn't want to speak to you. If I do a quick DBS check, CRB check, what it is, you call it back then, on you and produce that to them in the morning, would you be willing to sit through that? And it just so happens he was off that morning, and he said, "No worries, Jess, I'll come down." I turn up there. They show up at 9 o'clock with a smug look on their face because they knew that it's going to be easy in and out, and we're not registering. And there was the member of staff. There was all the documents that they needed, and I was like, "What now?" And they went, "You know what? We got nothing to say." So that's when they registered me. And it was a proud moment for me because I could have given up. I could have stopped, and 100%. There's always, and so I suppose back to what your question was, there's always a lesson in everything. There's always a way. There's always a way. It might not be your way, but there's always a way, and if you can get resourceful, you'll find it, and as Bob Marley said, right? You don't know how strong you are until being strong is the only chance you got, the only option you got, right? So we can be incredibly resourceful as human beings. We just choose not to. Like a lot of your listeners who are in property, for example, they go, well, I can't find 20 grand to do a property deal. I can't find investors. Well, if I told you need to find 20 grand by tonight to have life-saving surgery, otherwise you would die, what would you do? You'd find 20 grand, wouldn't you? Exactly. Do something so what's changed? Resourcefulness. Do you know what I mean? So there's always a way, So that was, I suppose, one of the proudest moments of my career. And then the second most proudest moment was waking up one morning, realizing that I didn't need to go into work. And I almost felt, I'm feeling it now, I almost felt emotional in that moment because I was like, everything I'd poured into this business, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the vision I created, people weren't with me when I was sleeping on the floor in my own care home because I couldn't afford staff, sweeping the floors, mopping the floors, cleaning toilets, bathing freaking people, cooking meals, running 24-hour shifts because I couldn't afford staff. No one was with me when I was doing all of that, getting knockback after knockback, cash flow problems, owing the tax man, all kinds of shit. I went through all this stuff and I woke up one morning, I was financially free. And I was like, fucking hell, everything that I'd went through had led to this moment, and it was worth it. So again, what's the lesson in that? Have your vision, and don't settle until you get there. A vision is not, by the way, people often say, well, I'm going to put a date on my vision. Visions are not a goal. Vision's a way of life. It's not a goal. There's no date on it. You'll know when you get there. Do you know what I mean? So you can't say to right, in 5 years, I'm going to be living my best life. It does my head in when people do this manifestation shit over in 5 years. I'm going to be, fuck that, man. Like you're literally like, your vision could happen tomorrow if you really wanted to. There's no timeline on it. If you who in their right mind, Terry, would know we'd be where we were 5 years ago? We had a freaking pandemic, all kinds of, no one could predict all this stuff. So stop giving yourself these 5-year targets, 10-year targets. It's all nonsense. Live for the next 12 months. Because if you can live for the next 12 months, the next 5 years take care of themselves. If everything you do in the next 12 months align with your vision, you'll get there eventually. Do you see what I mean? So everything that I was doing, even the stuff that I didn't like, because by the way, there's lots of people listening right now that think business is all rosy. Now, there's stuff you're going to have to do that you don't like. I know people tell you, oh, you've got to do what you're passionate about, follow your passion. Well, be passionate about the process, not the prize. Be passionate about the process, not the prize. The prize is the vision, whatever it is, the end goal. Be passionate about the process. What does that mean? Be passionate about getting the knockbacks. Be passionate about failing. Be passionate about the setbacks. Be passionate about people laughing at you. Be passionate about making mistakes. Be passionate about losing money. Be passionate about losing people. It's part of the process. Be passionate about the process, not the prize, because the prize will come. Because the funny thing is that if you're not appreciating this part of business, you've got no right to appreciate the fruits of it later on. That's just the way my mind works. So that moment for me was all of that. It was all worth it. It was all worth it in the end.
Passionate about the process. I've never heard that one before. I love that one. You're so right, by the way. You're so right. But because if you're passionate about I say that same line you said there to people is you don't have to just do what you enjoy, because if you did, you probably wouldn't achieve that much. If you just do what you enjoy, like you just wouldn't, would you? Because you've got to do things that you don't enjoy.
100%.
So, but yeah, I'm with you on that. But passionate about the process is a great one. I really like that. Love it. Question from something that you said there. Focusing on your vision. So I've achieved my vision, but I moved the vision. And would you recommend continually moving that vision once you get to where you want to be financially, in your family life, personal life, your business, as well as your financial stuff? Once you get there, I personally found that I didn't lose purpose, but I remember feeling a little bit like I need something else. Not just in a basic goal setting exercise, set some things that I wanted and set the next vision. What advice would you give on that or would you say that you should just have your vision and just live it? Or would you, I know everyone's different, but what would you say on that sort of side of it, moving the vision, changing the vision?
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's that saying, right? If you're not growing, you're dying. All of us, we set goals and then we achieve them and there's something missing because we want to set more. And that's actually how your brain works. So there's your unconscious mind. One of the primary directives of your unconscious mind is actually to want more of what's good for you. So this doesn't always work that well, because when you go out on a Friday night and have one drink and it feels like it's good for you, it ends up into spiraling out of control and you're getting shit-faced and ending up freaking with a dirty kebab and getting thrown into a cab at the end of the night, right? So
on the weekend, bank
there you go. So your mind is these drinks are good for me. No, but when it comes goal setting and goal getting are two different things. Once you set the goal and then you get the goal, your mind goes, oh, that was good. What else can I do? So you can't fight that natural instinct of wanting more. That's what your unconscious mind does. What happens when you make money? What do you want to do? Make more. It's a natural. You can't fight it. So it's the same with this. So in terms of vision, whenever I've got a business school. So when I teach vision at my business school, we create visions while we're there. I always get people to create the vision with the view for it to expand, not change, expand. There's got to be expansion space within your vision. So for example, Terry, one of your visions was to actually perhaps create this company that you've got right now, where you've got all these people working with you. You get to live a really cool life, and so do they. Yeah, so it's like an ecosystem, and they all feed off each other. So it doesn't mean now you go off and do something different. What happens if you expand that? Did you something like what happens if you now take that model you've got and do it in America, do it in Australia, do it in Europe? We're now expanding on what you've already got, not changing the vision, not moving the vision. So create your vision with movement, when I say movement, expansion space. So how can you expand it? If you're living your best life personally, for example, you've bought your dream home. Well, what if you bought a mansion instead? I'm just saying, you don't have to change the vision, but could you expand what you've already got? This is what. So for me, if there's expansion space, and there always will be another level. I don't care what industry you're in, I don't care what business you're in, I don't care what life you're living right now, there's always another level. There's always another level. So create your vision with the view to expand it once you've got to, quote unquote, that dream life, wherever it might be. Because then otherwise you're going to be discontent. Like you just said, it's going to feel like something's missing. What is it?
Yeah, I remember feeling just flat and like,
yeah.
I snapped myself out of it pretty quickly, but you hear a lot of stories like this, don't you? Someone sells the business and then they get depressed, or then the pretty worst case, kill themselves or something horrific because they've lost that purpose and they regret it. And
100%.
I think it's because it's important. It's also good to talk about this because there's loads of content online about how to get your goal and how to push yourself on and be motivated, inspired, and all these things. But they don't really talk about once you've got there, what then? What next? How do you keep motivated? How do you keep, you get up and go, and I think that's kind of what you talked about there is expanding on the goal. But on the flip side of that, if you get there and you are living that life of your absolute dreams, like you don't need to change that neither. There's no pressure to say that you have to expand it or have to change it. You might be very content. Just
and it's personal, man. It's like, it depends on what you want. Like I've worked with, like I had a lady come to my business school last year, and I kid you not, her vision, again, compared to my way of thinking, wasn't that big. Like what she wanted in her personal, professional, financial life, it was good, but I was like, there's so much more potential in those three areas. But she's content. It's what she wants. And that's what we got to understand. Like, what do you want? Forget what everybody else says to you. Forget what your freaking coach says to you, your mentor says to you. Like, what do you want? I've got clients who are happy with just this. Cool. That's absolutely fine. As long as you don't turn up 5 years later and say, I'm bored, then fine. Live your life. If you're content, you're content. This is absolutely fine. I've got clients who actually don't want to exit their business at all. They want to systemize it, but they still want to be in there because it gives them purpose. Fine. Yeah. It's absolutely fine. It's not a problem. Don't make a thing. Like I always say to people, don't make a thing. Like just because like someone else says you should do it doesn't mean you should go and do it. But as long as you're content and you're happy and it's sustainable happiness, not just a temporary fix, then knock yourself out. My vision is going to be different to yours. Yours is going to be different to someone else's, all that kind of stuff. So we must also not impose our own way of thinking on other people. For some people, they're content with what it is. But I always say, whatever you're doing, there's always another level. So if you do get bored, expand what you've already got rather than change direction completely.
Probably an easier transition as well. Love that. The last part of the main sort of theme of the episode is what your attention is on right now. But what's the vision right now for Jessen James? What's your vision?
Global domination. The vision is so I started after doing Rich House Poor House in March 2020 lockdown. Everyone wanted to lockdown. And I started a private Facebook community to support people called Billion Lives Changed. And the reason I started that is because I just knew people were going to struggle during lockdown. I just knew it. And I thought, how can I help? How can I help people? I want to take my background in psychiatric nursing. I want to take all my background in neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, everything I know about the human brain. And I'm going to pour into people every single day until we get out of this mess. And I just launched this group in March 2020. As soon as we went into lockdown, the week after, 28th of March 2020, I launched this group, Billion Lives Changed. Every morning, 9:30 a.m., I'd go live in that group for 20 minutes or so, teaching people mindset, resilience, how to get out of stress, depression, tips, techniques, all that kind of stuff. That group grew from like 100 people to like over 7,000 people now. But put me, when I say every day, Terry, every day. I had COVID, I was still going live in that group. It was New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2020. I was doing a free goal setting masterclass for everyone in that group. I had my flip chart out, everything like with the background and all that kind of stuff. And all this, I had COVID. My team were watching it. I got massively told off after doing that live. And they said to me, like, you need to go to bed. You need to get, like, literally get into bed. But like, my mind didn't want to accept that my body was ill. So it's like I'm not, but the minute I stopped, like I just fell flat. Like, you know, unfortunately I wasn't that ill, but like what I'm trying to say is that I wanted to help people, and I've been going live in that group. I now have a team of ambassadors who support me to do it and who go live as well. But me personally, I went live in that group for over a year, every single day. I was away, I was abroad, you know, I was on holiday. It doesn't matter where I was in the world, I'd be tuning into that group because people needed me. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is that what's next, what's in the pipeline? I want to fulfill that mission. 1 billion lives changed means for me impacting 1 billion lives, but I can't do it on my own. So if I can pour into other people, they can pour into others. That's how you create that ripple effect. So I'm very grateful and blessed that thousands of people have come through the group who have changed their own mindset, changed their own lives, have gone off to pour into other people. And like Terry, when I'm telling you the impact, it's like this. When I get a message from someone saying, Jess, I was going to take my life today until I heard you speak. Well, like, who am I to keep my mouth shut? Do you know what I mean? So if I'm literally saving people's lives by pouring into them, then I'm not going to stop that. Do you see what I mean? So for me, everything that I'm doing now must align with how can we impact 1 billion lives, whether that's through my mentorship, whether that's through my guidance, my charity work, supporting others, training people, empowering people. You know, everything I do, my team knows everything that we do within our training business as a whole. You know, like my other businesses are different, but my training business is ultimately, for me, is where this stems from. Is how can we have global impact now in helping people all across the world? And lockdown was a great thing for me because I was able to run virtual events, which I'd never run before. I was able to do virtual talks. I was some of my promoters, I got a new promoter during lockdown, a global promoter, one of the biggest promoters in the world, put me on stage with Deepak Chopra, Robin Sharma, Les Brown, all these people. I'm like, wow, these are people I used to watch on YouTube, right? Now Les Brown starts to quote me. He was on stage after me and he heard my talk and he started using my words in his talk. I'm like, bloody hell, this is crazy. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I would never have had that impact if it weren't for lockdown. But as a result of that, I've got new clients and followers all over the world now, in Caribbean to like South Africa, to parts of the world where people would have never have known who Jessen James was. And it's beautiful because that's how we create that ripple effect. If I can make someone a better person, it will naturally pour into someone else in their own world. Do you see what I mean? Business owners, if I can make you a better business owner, I'll make you a better parent, a better sibling, a better partner. Do you see what I mean? It all is a ripple effect. Do you see what I mean? So everything I do now revolves around that. So for me, that's what's next. What's next is making this world way better than what it is. You know, by
just a small little goal, then is it? Just
yeah, just a small thing I want to do in my spare time.
well,
I've got expansion for that. It is, and I think we can only affect change by pouring into other people and teaching people resourcefulness, not how to rely on others. You know, like I've got, like right now this afternoon, my PR agent's coming along because you know we're going to talk about strategies of she's basically going to get me onto Sky News, BBC News, all this kind of stuff, and go and do talks. And I am clearly, as you know, I'm very vocal. I'll talk my mind. I'll say how I feel, but also at the same time, I want to challenge the status quo. And I think like people are out there blaming freaking the government all the time, but the government, with all due respect, are not teaching people to be more resourceful. They're teaching them to rely on handouts. So it's like I know it's a control thing, but it's a vicious ecosystem, isn't it? Rather than pour into people and help them be more resourceful, create their own economies, be more, financially literate, all this kind of stuff. Like, why isn't this stuff being taught in school? Why are they not teaching mental health awareness in school? Why are they not teaching personal development in school? Why are they not teaching financial management in school, money management? Most kids leave school broke and they're being taught by broke teachers. Are you fucking serious? Do you see what I mean? Like, it's go to the root. What's the root? What's the truth? Let's fix that. Let's stop trying to put plasters on bandages. They're only going to fall off, So for me, it's like, it's how can we create that movement without having to, again, rely on the government? I'm going to do it myself. I'm not going to wait for anybody else to do that, So I think that's where I want to be. Yeah.
Love that. I think it's a great thing that you're doing, and I'll check out the Facebook group for sure. I think
Please do.
and there's got to be, you know, there's a lot of people talk about the change in the school system. There's got to be someone that does it, right?
Well,
be some.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
I wish it all the best of luck, mate, because I'm with you on that mission, man. It's got to be, someone's got to do it, and it's something that needs to be done, not just in you know, Newcastle. It's worldwide. It needs done everywhere, right?
100%.
Love that. Thanks, Jessen. It's been a great episode. Just before we wrap up, the question I ask everybody is at the end is, the show's called the Rags to Riches Show. But what does being rich mean to you? Because you can be rich in monetary terms, financial assets, relationships, experience, whatever. So what does being rich, what does that phrase mean to you?
For me, it means, can I sleep at night? That's what it means. So you can have all the money in the world, but if you trampled over people to get that money, then you're an arsehole. You shouldn't be sleeping at night. Do you know what I mean? So can I sleep at night? That means, you know, am I making money ethically? Am I creating opportunities for others? Am I pouring into others? Am I making this world a better place? Am I doing the right things? Am I being a good person? Am I being a decent human being? Am I being a good parent? You know, am I providing for the right people? Like for me, you know, all of these things matter, but also, am I happy with myself? Because I know a lot of rich, unhappy people. I know people who've got money, but have got low self-worth, who don't feel they deserve it, who are not happy in their relationships, not happy in themselves, just something like all this kind of stuff. So being rich for me is it's about being wealthy. Like, wealth comes in different forms, but wealthy means having an abundance in all areas of your life. Yeah, health, everything. Like, for me, I can't just have money. I can't just I've got to be content. I've got to be growing. I've got to be stretching. You know, to the point where, like, I mean, I'm set myself a new target. I'm always wanting to do new. I've set myself a new target. I'm actually fighting my first boxing fight. I'm fighting at the O2 Arena on the 10th of July. You know, so, like, again, people, my team are going, "What's wrong with you? Like, you don't need to do this stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I felt like I needed to push myself. Like, I'm currently in boot camp, like, at the moment with my trainer. Like it's extreme. I'm training like 7, 8, 9, 10 times a week. It's crazy stuff, but pushing new boundaries, because for me, it makes me feel fulfilled. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. I'm growing. So richness comes in different forms. But, you know, a lot of your listeners will be focusing around money, which is fine. But can you sleep at night? That's really important. And another thing about sleeping at night is, can you honestly go to bed at night and say you gave today your best shot? Because if you didn't, then wake up tomorrow and do something about it. Because some of us, we're actually beating ourselves up for not getting the results that we want, but we haven't actually been putting in the effort. So can you go to bed at night, hand on heart, saying, I've done everything I can do and some today, and tomorrow's another day. If you can't do that, then you deserve to not sleep tonight. Just being honest. Because you should be thinking about, you know what, fuck that. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to smash it. Do you know what I mean? So earn your sleep is what I would say. Earn your sleep is really important.
I think you get in that bed, you're sitting your head hits a pillow, you should be because you shouldn't have done that much. Yeah, man. But the thing, just to add to that as well, people who are actually honest with themselves when they get to bed on this evening or whenever they listen to this, and they haven't, some of those people are still expecting the results of someone who has done everything.
100%.
And it's just a line, right? You can't work part-time hours and get a full-time income, right?
It's not going to happen.
You can't.
It's not going to happen.
And I love that. And just being honest with yourself. And one of the points we've already mentioned is being self-aware and being honest with yourself. Jessen, I think it's been one of the best. Loved it.
Thank you.
Just speak your gems, don't you? And if I didn't keep asking questions, we'd just go on and on. But I'm going to wrap it up there, mate. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to reach out to you, Jessen, if anyone wants to find you, follow your journey, look at your businesses or anything, what is the best way for them to reach out and to follow you?
I mean, you can follow me across all my socials. I mean, if you just look for at Jessen James _official on Instagram or Facebook or, you know, YouTube, LinkedIn. And my team has even got me on bloody TikTok now. So I'm all over the place. You won't catch me doing any funky dances though, but yeah, you can just go to jessenjames.com as well. We'll have all the handles there as well, where you can reach out to me. But yeah, look, connect, follow me. And look, I always say to people, if there's someone that you connect with and align with, doesn't mean you need to buy something from them or whatever it might be. It's just surround yourself with better people, like follow people who, like you said, speak the truth. You know, I have a lot of followers, especially after doing Rich House, Poor House, who don't actually have a lot of money, but they follow me because of my values and my integrity and my approach and my message. And, you know, and if anything I've said to any of your listeners right now vibrates, listens, you know, it hits something within them, whether they're a business owner or someone who's struggling personally, mentally, whatever it might be, just follow my journey. You fill your newsfeed up with better things. Yes. You know, so follow more inspirational people like myself, you as well, you know, like just follow good people and then eventually all the crap will just drown itself out.
Yeah. Amazing. No, just thank you so much, my friend. Have a great rest of your day.
Pleasure. You too. Take care.